Is this the foldable that finally gets folding right? This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Find N Plus. It is sleek, it is powerful, it folds very smoothly and nicely and has some, it's just so, it snaps into place. It's not grindy, it's not squeaky, it's got very little of a crease, which when you're actually looking at it, you can't really see it. And it's got a lot of things that you would want in a folding phone that a lot of phones haven't quite gotten right yet. But there's one big problem. You can't buy it. It's not being released in the United States. It's not being released in Europe. I don't think it's being released in Canada. I'm sorry, but even though this might be the folding phone that everybody has always hoped that folding phones would be, you can't get it. So let's get into talking about what this thing is and how it stacks up against the competition. But real quick, if this is your first time here or you've been here before, thanks so much for stopping by. If you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the like bell notification thingy, and come back and see me again. It helps me out quite a bit to get people to hit those buttons and tell YouTube that you like what you're seeing, okay, let's get back to that. If you're like me, folding phones have kind of been like a Goldilocks kind of situation where there just wasn't one that was just right. Some were good at something, some were good at other things. But the Find N5 might actually be good at all the things. It's got the compact book style design, but the main screen is large enough that you don't feel like too cramped whenever you're using it. And then when you open it up, it is plenty of screen real estate to be able to do just about anything that you would want. You can do multitasking, you can triple task. It's got little pullouts here for all kinds of things. Snapdragon 8 Elite chip in it with 7 cores instead of 8 cores, but that's okay. That's okay because I'm not going to be a snob about it. The outer screen is 6.6 inches. The inner screen is 8.12 inches, both 120 hertz, both OLED screens, both super bright. Got some Hasselblad-tuned cameras in here. And while the cameras might not be the best out of anything that you could ever get, they are quite decent, and I have found myself enjoying using them. We'll get into that a little bit later. It runs on Android 15 and ColorOS 15. I'm going to do some more testing on this guy and come back with another sort of long-term use video. So if you're into that, make sure that you get subscribed and you hit the bell notification so that you know when that video is coming out. From a design and build quality standpoint, I mean, there's almost, as I said, no visible crease. The hinge is, the hinge makes no sound whatsoever. It's very solid. It's very smooth. It closes with a nice clap, and then it snaps open. So there's a spring mechanism in there that snaps it open. It opens and it's like all the way open when you do it. But what really impressed me when I first took it out of the box was the slimness of this phone. It's probably hard to get across on the screen here, but this phone is, minus the camera bump, if you take the iPhone and this phone is only slightly thicker than the iOS 16 Pro Max, which is pretty impressive because you can't buy a phone that's this slim. And that's one of the places where I feel like foldables have gone wrong, whether it was, a technology thing that they just couldn't get there yet or whatever. Foldables have just been too unwieldy for daily carrying up until this point. This thing I could carry and be totally satisfied with what it is and not feel like I was carrying a brick phone from the 90s or the 80s even. Whatever. If you compare it to the other major players in the folding game, this thing is thinner by a lot. Also, from the standpoint of design, the facial ID on this guy is fast, and it works, which is not something that I could always say about other other Android phones in the past. It also has a fingerprint reader on the power button here, and that works equally as fast and is easy to get your hands on. I mean, it's just, if you're holding this open, it's really just a move up here or a move up here to get it opened up. So it's really good. This is your dual screen mode where you're looking at two different things, and they're basically two things that are the same size as they would be on a regular smartphone. If you're into books, then you've got plenty of book real estate here. This has the same amount of screen real estate as the iPad mini, of course, in a different configuration, but still the same amount of screen, which the iPad mini is a great reading device if you are an avid reader like myself. And of course, you've got all of the benefits of it being fast and very, very snappy. The screens themselves, they get bright. They get really, really bright. And they're very fluid. They look really good. They got the Dolby Vision. They got the HDR. They got all the things that you might want. The outer screen gets up to 1,600 nits of brightness, which is a lot of brightness. The inner screen gets up to 1,400 nits of brightness, which I have been impressed with and have not had any issues with or wish that I had something different than these screens when using this phone. Now, one of the cons about the screens, and you might be able to see it, it drives me nuts. It doesn't matter how often you you wipe the phone down. There's a plastic screen protector on both screens, and that plastic screen protector gets fingerprinty really quick. It's just impossible to keep clean. I get really frustrated. You can take the screen protector off of the front, but OPPO recommends that you don't take this one off, as is usually recommended. The phone does have stylus support on both screens. However, it does not come with a stylus in the box, so you will have to get a stylus of your own liking. Make sure you get a stylus that works, because I have this stylus right here, which works on, like my e-ink screens, and it doesn't work. So you have to get a stylus that works. Speaking of things that come in the box, it also comes with a protective case that you can slip on the back. I mean, it's a slim case. It has a magnetic strip here that goes around the back of the hinge to protect that a little bit, and it just gives you a little bit of bumper protection. It only goes on the right side, so your front screen will be unprotected, but it is good that OPPO puts this in the box so that you don't have to run around with a naked phone, because it will not be easy to find cases that fit this phone if you're in the US or elsewhere, and it's not something that's in stores for you to buy. It has a couple of different colors. There's a matte black color, and then it has this this sort of pearlescent, almost marble-like looking texture to the white back. It's very nice. I think I would have preferred the black version, but beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. I'm just happy that OPPO sent me this phone to check out, because it is something that I was very much looking forward to seeing. Performance-wise, there's absolutely nothing that you could complain about here. The Snapdragon 8 Elite is the best chip that you can get on a phone right now, even if this is one core down from the full-fat version. Gaming, multitasking, whatever it is, this phone can handle it and not miss a beat. It has 67-watt fast charging, wired-like, and 80-watt wireless charging, which the predecessor to this phone, which was the OnePlus Open, did not have. And that was one of the few things that I didn't like about that phone. It's 5,600 milliamp hours of battery with the silicon carbon battery chemistry. That is one of the reasons I think that this thing can be so darn skinny. It's just 5,600 milliamps in a phone this size is just hard to even fathom. The ColorOS 15 on here is pretty refined. It has some OPPO specific functionality that really doesn't do you a lot of good if you're not in one of the countries that supports this phone, and it is pretty well optimized for folding phones in terms of the apps. Like you see here, the Notes app is starts out as a 2-screen deal, and then you can, when you go into the Notes, you can go to tap here to split the current page. So you can split the current page and have your notes to the side, to-dos, etc., etc. It's a pretty well thought out operating system, and not too different from stock Android that you would say like, oh, I don't like this because it looks so different. It is pretty much stock Android with a few flourishes. One software addition that this phone has that no other Android phone has had, and it's been a bone of contention for me and many other people who use Macs, is that it has Mac integration, which I didn't even think to look for until I opened the phone and it was like, hey, do you want to connect to your Mac? And I was like, yes, I want to connect to my Mac. And unfortunately, I have not yet figured out how to connect to the Mac, but I know you can connect to Mac OS and you can connect to iOS and share things back and forth, which is one of the reasons why in recent years I've stuck more to iPhones and not used as many Android phones as I have in the past, because once you go AirDrop, it's really hard to go back to, moving files around in any different way from your phone. Over the years, as I've been talking about smartphones, there have been a vocal minority of people who have complained that the IR blaster has been removed from Android phones. But now the Find N5 has IR blaster, and you can hook up remotes for any number of different things. So if you're one of those people who really missed the IR capabilities of Android phones, this is your phone. Import it today. Of course, on the con side with the software, there's still the general bugaboos of folding phones. Some apps don't play well with foldable scale. Like my Verizon app is it says here, my Verizon might not be displayed properly when you unfold. So watching video, it's not optimized in such a way that you can get a really great full screen experience because of the shape of the phone, but you can fold it out like this and you get your full screen right there with controls and such right down here. Of course, using the case is a bonus here because this is annoying. The camera hump is ginormous, so you have to be prepared for that. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about how the camera and how it works. It's not the best camera system. The main camera and the telephoto work really well, but the 8-megapixel ultra wide is not the best. As with many other foldable phones, if you want the best camera system on a phone, then you have to go with the flagship phones in the slab configuration. So the S25 Ultras or the iPhone 16 Pro Maxes or something like that. However, the Hasselblad tuning that you can get on this, I like the colors that you get out of this phone a lot more than I do Samsung phones or the Pixel folding phones. Their camera system is just not all that great. So I don't think anyone but the most ultra picky people will really find any issue with the camera performance. It's just not the best that's out there. And when you're paying $1,800 plus to get a phone, you want to have the best. Unfortunately, this doesn't have it. In the real world, carrying this phone around for a month or so, I was really impressed with how it felt to just carry this phone around and have it feel mostly like any other slab phone that I have. I mean, the iPhone 16 Pro Max actually feels a little bit more substantial than this. Maybe it's because there's some lines and grooves and that kind of thing here, but it feels nice to hold it as a regular phone and to use the front screen. And then when you open up the screen, it, it's just it's just so smooth and so nice. I have no problems at all with the hinge. It opens confidently, it locks in place confidently, it closes confidently. I don't have any worries that this might wear out over time. So it's a more compact foldable that's more usable than foldables that I've had in the past. I think one of the issues that I've had in the past is holding it this way. I usually use my pinky finger to balance it. The other folding phones that I've used have been heavy to the point where this became uncomfortable. And that is not the case with the OPPO Find N5. For me, this is the best foldable that I've used to date, and a foldable that I would put in my pocket and carry around and use on a regular basis. But there are some caveats. If you're not in Asia, it's difficult to get this phone. And not difficult, but you can't go down to your regular old T-Mobile store and pick one up. And I did have some trouble trying to get an eSIM on myself. I had to go and check it out with the people in the store, which is always a lot of fun. It's not as easy as buying a phone that is regularly sold in your area. At $1,800 plus whatever you'd have to do to get it shipped in, that's pretty expensive, but I have seen some of these used on Swappa and other places like that at more reasonable prices. So if you really want one of these, that might be the way to go. I mean, multitasking, all that kind of stuff, absolutely the best that I've experienced so far. The camera, not as great as you would want it to be. It is probably the best foldable on the market right now, just not the one that's readily available. Would you import a phone like this, go that extra mile, or is the limited availability and extra agita that you have to go through to get this phone a deal breaker for you? Let me know down in the comments and we'll have a boisterous discussion. Once again, like, subscribe, bell notify yourself so you can come back and see me again and we can talk about more tech. Otherwise, my name's Jason. Until the next time, I'm out.